The ethics panel has recommended the expulsion of Trinamool Congress leader Mahua Moitra. This is the big political story that we're live on this evening. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. In a 6-4 vote, Mahua Moitra is to be expelled from Parliament, according to the Parliamentary Ethics Committee that was hearing the allegations of a case that has come to be known as cash for queries. Basically, Ms. Moitra has been accused of accepting favors from a business leader to ask questions about Modi-Adani from the floor of the House. Ms. Moitra, in an interview to me, as well as other interviews, has accepted that she did indeed ask these questions, but has said that there was no cash involved, no money involved. And while the staff of Darshan Hiranandani's office was used to post these questions, there was, in fact, complete control over content. The Ethics Committee clearly has not accepted this defense by Ms. Moitra. Ms. Moitra, in the images that you're seeing on your screen, stormed out of the Ethics Committee panel the last time it met, saying that all kinds of personal questions about where she stayed, who she spoke to at night, and very questions with innuendos were asked of her, and she found those questions sexist. This campaign has been led by BJP Member of Parliament Nishikant Dubey, who's not a member of that ethics panel, but of course the BJP has the majority on that panel, and suspended Congress Member of Parliament Praneeth Kaur has today voted alongside the BJP members of that panel. What happens to Mahua Moitra now? Let's introduce our guest on the program today. She's also facing a potential CBI probe. Is she a victim of misogyny, or has she committed a grave violation? Jaya Jaitley, who has been a senior politician herself, today is an author and an activist, joins us. Always a pleasure, Jayaji. Shubhrastha is with us. She's an analyst, a commentator, the host of her own YouTube channel. It's always good to see you, Shubhrastha. We're also joined by Tehseen Poonawalla, Congress supporter, a diehard Congress fan, but a sometime critic of the party he supports, is with us. Good to see you, Tehseen, after a long time. And Sumanth Raman is also with us, political analyst and commentator. All right, quick comments first, and then I want to play out an operative excerpt from my interview. Tehseen, I'll start with you. Has the committee been unfair or fair to Ms. Moitra?
Good evening, Barkha. Thank you so much. And kudos on your interview with Mahua Moitra. I went through it and it was a fabulous interview. Like always, you asked the tough questions. And well, there's a Hindi saying or Hindi movie saying, "Ye to hona hi tha." Unfortunately, parliamentary committees that used to go beyond partisan lines in the good old days today are divided on partisan lines. So we knew that the BJP had a majority. This was supposed to happen. I want to make it very clear, I in no way endorse what Mahua Moitra did. I think it's absolutely stupid to give your login ID to somebody else. But two issues. Is this criminality? No, this isn't criminality, as she herself has explained to you. And I do tend to go with that agreement. Point number two, and which is the more important question. Now that the Lokpal and the CBI has come into the probe, and the ethical committee, of course, will suspend and recommend CBI probe, the question is, if Mahua Moitra has taken a bribe, what is the basis of the bribe? Is the basis of the bribe the affidavit of Hiranandani? Because Hiranandani does not say in that affidavit that he's given a bribe. Because if he admits he's given a bribe, he himself is a criminal. That's point number one. Point number two, is the basis Jaya, her ex-partner, because she had an axe to grind with him? How come when she was indulging in this illegality, her ex-partner was now on screen, at that point did not realize that this is against the law, but only after a breakup and a fight over a dog, he is now suddenly Nishikant Dubey's best friend and is hanging around with Nishikant Dubey and going to give all of these interviews to the committee. And most importantly, I think it's blatantly unfair that Mahua Moitra was not allowed to summon Mr. Hiranandani, who's now on your screen, allowed to cross-examine him or Jay. I think however these committees progress, the rule of law must be supreme, which says that the right to free and fair trial precedes everything else. That's a constitutional right. Taking that away, I suspect this is not the end of it. Of course, she'll be suspended, but she will go to court and courts will intervene because now it's been held by the Supreme Court that these committees are tribunals.
Just briefly before I open it up, yes, she will appeal, of course, legally. But do you think this is a knock to her brand, or do you think that people will feel sorry for her? It depends on your pre-existing ideological affiliation.
Pre-existing ideological affiliation. We are too polarized. And last night I did dinner, incidentally, with 3 or 4 people you and I did dinner with in Pune, and they were vertically divided. So those who are this side, my side of the fence, were very clear Mahua is the victim. Those who are on, say, Shubhrashtra's side of the fence were very clear she took gifts. So it's divided. It doesn't affect politics.
Okay, Jaya Jaitley, Mahua Moitra has said that she has been the victim of misogyny, that the way she has been judged is by a standard that men are not judged. The questions that she has been asked, and she was last seen kicking this ball in her constituency in West Bengal, making a point about kicking patriarchy. She's been unapologetic. In my interview, she said she has not a single regret, not even about her login being used, which she suggested was common practice, and all parliamentarians did this. Has she been the victim of misogyny?
Well, having been a victim of, let's say, male political patriarchy, I would say one half of me feels very sympathetic towards her because I have much. So I'm going to make a clear dividing line between women in politics, behavior of women in politics, and I'm not taking party lines at all. So the thing is that male language, the questions used in asking her things during the ethics committee and otherwise are very cheap. And I don't expect men to perhaps be any different, because I know of times when senior members of parliament from a different era used to tell me that male parliamentarians refer to the women in parliament as furniture. So degrading. They always, whether they say it in front of you or behind your back, they treat you as if you're just some spare adornment over there. I've had terrible letters written to me, but thank God privately. And I've written my book also about how awful it is when even this little thing like making you make tea, even if you're chairing the meeting, is something that men can't seem to get rid of. But there is also a code of conduct among any parliamentarian. And I think women particularly must keep their dignity, must be graceful, and they cannot I think Mahua is also kind of a parachute person into parliament. She does not have a political background. I believe she was in America in banking. She suddenly dashed here, and I believe from close people who know her in Calcutta, where I was recently, they said that she just wanted to be with Rahul Gandhi and be close to him and be in Congress. And then when they didn't take her, she came to the TMC, and no one in Calcutta says she's ever does anything for her constituency. At least I'm seeing her play football. But I don't think her experience is such. She just thought she'd come in, look snazzy, talk nicely, and do anything you feel like. And there are a lot of young people in parliament today who tend to think that way, that parliament is like you've become kings and queens and you can do what you like. I have worked all my life with a senior, very hardworking politician. Every single question he went through beforehand, people would write in things, a particular elderly gentleman would sit and write those questions for him onto the parliament paper. Nothing would be ever sent as a ready-made question from outside. And of course, in those days, there was no password and all that nonsense.
So when you say a part of you does feel her rage at being asked personal questions that speak to personal morality, that's what women go through, men don't. But a part of you is very upset about her conduct. If you had to say in one line what most about her conduct has disturbed you, what would that be?
I think leading this kind of a private life, which you can have in celebrity magazines, but you cannot have in parliament work and in the parliament world around you and in the public world you live in. And, people who constantly wear their dark glasses, it might be a silly thing, but, people who work in the sun with the poor, wandering around villages, do not wear dark glasses. This is just too much celebrity and too much fancy English articulation, which, whether it's a man or a woman, I would say the same thing, is not workable politics. It has to be something solid.
So it's so interesting you ask that, you say that, because I want to take that to Shubhrastha. One of the things I said to her in the interview to Mahua was, why do you embrace your elitism? Why do you flaunt your Ferragamos? And she said, I make no apology for who I am. She walked into that committee with her Louis Vuitton bag. Jaya Jaitley says, male or female, that's too much celebrity, too much flamboyance. It puts people off. I noticed that Jaya Jaitley was not so outraged by the question posting issue as by a little bit of the trivialization, I'm summarizing here, that the dark glasses and the other conduct represents. What would you say, Shubhrastha, again as a woman in politics and public life?
Barkha, I am very clear on two counts. I do not support Mahua Moitra's politics. But I'm also not open to the whole idea of incarcerating her for her public demeanor. Whether it is elitist, whether it is snobbish, whether it is whatever, it's her life and she should be allowed to live a life that she chooses to. However, I am also not from the school of thought that when asked pressing questions, you dangle the victim card of being a woman. You dangle the victim card of being a parliamentarian who've been asked indecent questions in the parliamentary committee, for the simple reason that if the questions look, Barkha will have to understand one thing. She may say that the questions were indecent. The other members may say that the questions were decent. She chose to take it indecently. You and I do not really know what line of questioning was there. Going by how Mahua has conducted herself till now, she has had a habit of, using her identity as a woman as a victim card to sort of score political points. On the whole question of elitism, of course, it's her life, but let's also understand the constituency she represents. If there are people who cheerlead for Mahua, I really want them to take this question to her constituency. These are these political consultancy firms who do these kind of surveys. Let's take it to the constituency and see if people are okay with the kind of elitism she has. This is to answer your question. However, let me tell you one thing. The charges under which Mahua Moitra is under scanner today is not of whether the kind of sunglasses she wears or the kind of shoes or whatever she wears. It's a very grave and serious charge. There is a business competitor of Gautam Adani whose office provided all kinds of secretarial and infrastructure help. The letter makes it very clear. Is it okay for an MP to do that? Also, she comes from a very socialist line of political thought. She doesn't come from the right wing, who, by the way, a part of the right wing does believe in conservative economics as well. She doesn't flaunt that. She comes from TMC. She has all allegiances with all kinds of socialist politics. So is it okay for a socialist politician to accept all kinds of secretarial help?
I think that is the core issue, that how grave is the conflict or the potential conflict of interest. Tehseen, briefly before I come to Sumanth, you had your hand up. Yeah, Tehseen.
I agree with what Shubhrastha said, that it's not a question about her glasses, her bags, or her shoes, and women are often that's unfairly targeted on that. But I disagree with Shubhrastha. She did win a Lok Sabha election. Her constituency did send her, despite the glasses, bags, and the shoes. It's not that she's wearing them after becoming an MP. So let's be clear on that part. But let me ask just one thing on this corruption charges. I, for one thing, don't endorse what she did. But I again say, how is Mr. Hiranandani suddenly nationalist? His nationalist father goes around YouTube channels giving interviews on how great the Honorable Prime Minister and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister's son's living in Dubai. Was the son a kindergarten kid that he did not know he should not take a login password? He was so submissive that he got dominated by Mahua to start giving gifts across. And again, I say, if Mahua is a criminal, then by same logic, Mr. Hiranandani is a criminal, both father and submissive son. How come they escape criminality? Suddenly, Mr. Hiranandani is a nice guy who was indulging in this.
Yeah. I think that's a very fair question. Why are the men in this case getting away? Is the question. If there is a crime, there was a ex-partner who clearly knew what was happening if something bad was happening. There is Hiranandani, who concedes an error of judgment. Sumanth, Mahua Moitra, in her long interview to me, said that I have done nothing wrong. There is not one thing I would do differently. Sumanth, what happens to her political brand going forward as a result of what's happening?
Look, Barkha, as far as Mahua, the politician, is concerned, clearly she is not a mass leader by any stretch of imagination. She's got where she is because of Mamata Banerjee at the moment. And, the fact that the TMC has not even come forward to defend her is a matter of grave concern for her. In fact, today
Abhishek Banerjee did say that she's a victim of politics, but she can fight on her own.
Yeah, so they haven't, clearly the kind of support they've given to their arrested minister has not been given to Mahua Moitra. That's very, very clear. Now, forget about that. My point is on a very simple issue. I have been asking on multiple debates over the last few days, can somebody produce the manual, as it were, of the guidelines or the rules or the law which prohibits the sharing? I agree with Tehseen. She should not have done it, is a different issue. Where it is against the law or against the rules to share that particular ID. Now, if you go into the Lok Sabha portal for submission of questions, there's a separate login for PAs, PSs, and so on. So clearly, the understanding, as I see it, and it is obvious to any lay person also, is that this is meant for multiple people to access on behalf of an MP. Now, whether she should have given it to Mr. Hiranandani's office, whether it should have been accessed from Dubai, no, all of that for a moment, if you park that and say that she should not have done it, to me, it seems more of an ethical violation than any breach of law, unless somebody can produce this and says she has violated the following laws or the following rule. Now, I haven't seen that. I've been asking.
Actually, I asked the former Lok Sabha Secretary General, and he said the law is silent on it because Parliament probably hasn't. He said it's a grey area.
Yeah.
Now, I want to just. Yeah, I want to just
let me finish.
Yeah.
Sorry, one second, Barkha. The second point is about the quote unquote cash, which there has been no evidence. And I would have thought that a panel which has received a letter or an affidavit, as it were, from a gentleman would at least call the man and ask him a few questions. You have submitted this affidavit. Now, what are the relevant questions? Now, you have given her these gifts. What were the dates on which these gifts were given? How was this gift paid for? What is the value of the gift? I mean, I'm amazed that I submit a report against you to Tehseen, and Tehseen accepts it as gospel truth without even calling you and asking, calling me and asking for an explanation.
So let me play out a very brief clip, and then I'll come to Shubhrastha, Jaya, and Tehseen to respond to what Sumanth has raised. Mahua Moitra has denied any sort of acceptance of cash from Darshan Hiranandani. So if that is true, if there is a cash trail, there's been no evidence of it in public domain, then we're left with a moral question. Should she be outsourcing her login?
Hiranandani has not alleged cash. Hiranandani in his affidavit has not alleged.
I'm saying we're left with the moral question and the conflict of interest, because Hiranandani is a business competitor of Adani, about whom she is raising questions. But there are also moral questions now being raised by the opposition about how NDTV, my former channel, now owned by Adani, was able to get first hands on the Ethics Committee report even before it was adopted. Just a 40-second clip on what Mahua Moitra says about the 47 times a staff member in Hiranandani's office was used to post her parliamentary questions. Listen.
The allegation is that 47 times Darshan Hiranandani's office or himself, I don't know, accessed your password to post questions in Parliament. I am surprised
it is only 47 times. It is 47 times since 2019. Please understand. Only his office has done my questions. I have very rarely done my questions.
So you agree with this 47 number?
There should be more. I'm surprised it's 47. I have 61 questions.
Has his office exclusively posted all of your Parliament questions?
Pretty much most of them, because like I said, I don't ask very many questions. I speak in Parliament. I ask 0 hour. I speak on Twitter. My way of getting, there's nothing secret.
So you agree that this report of 47 questions posted by Hiranandani's office is correct?
Of course it's correct. But I'm surprised it's only 47. It should be more. I've already said that my login portal was given for them. I have asked 61 questions.
Okay.
So to ask 61 questions, don't you need to log in at least 47 times?
She's pretty much suggesting, Jaya Jaitley, that most questions she's ever asked in Parliament have been posted using the staff of Darshan Hiranandani, and she's further says in a long interview that usme kya galat hai, every parliamentarian uses somebody else to post the question. In this case, the person happens to be a rival businessman to the business house she's raising questions about. Your comments, Ms. Jaitley.
I think everything that I just heard on this clip shows her complete inexperience and her lack of knowledge of how Parliament should work and always did work. You can't just say somebody, of course, somebody can ask, one person can ask 47, one person. I mean, the MP should have the sense, one, to realize there is a conflict of interest, two, to depend totally on one person. Doesn't she have a brain? Isn't she educated? All she does in Parliament, she says, is give speeches and say things on Twitter. That itself shows that she has no clue what politics is. I was feeling a little sympathetic towards her, and I did not highlight the spectacle part. I was saying, first of all, I said that she should not have been treated like that way. The men were cheapening themselves by asking her questions like that. But she laid herself open to it because she doesn't know thinking of her colleagues in Parliament. They come, I mean, on that child marriage thing. I had a man in the Parliamentary Steering Committee ask that, I know and I have reports that 15-year-old girls must produce children because medically after that is not good for them. Patriarchy saying, what will the whole village say? The thinking is like that. You can't suddenly fly over everybody and be stylish and think a speech is going to...
But what's wrong with being stylish? You're very stylish. You're the original style queen of India.
Maybe, but I'm saying... No, I'm happy about that. I do it because I wear handloom and I work for handloom weavers. But no, not about myself at all. I'm saying it just shows her inexperience. You can do all that when you've earned a place. Then you can be anything you like, nobody minds. But if you just do that and think that's good enough, and you'll have a whole lot of businessmen whom you won't have the sense to assess why they're doing it, and you quickly say, oh, I don't ask questions, I only make speeches. That's the most foolish thing to say.
Okay,
she's opening herself to criticism.
Tehseen, has she shown naivete? Has Mahua Moitra shown naivete? And as someone says, if she has, is that criminal? Is that grounds to be expelled from Parliament?
Perhaps I completely concur with Suman. She may be, I'll go one step further, forget naivety. She may be stupid. She may be ridiculous, but she's not a criminal. Let me give you another example. The worst thing about this login ID, let me give you an example. The BJP's argument is this could affect national security. Could affect. It's not affected. Barkha, I could be playing with a knife, and that's stupid. That's idiotic. But unless I don't hurt Suman, there's no criminality in it. Yeah. So let's get this clear. There is no criminality done by her. And if the criminality is on those gifts, the basis of that affidavit, there are two affidavits. Now we tend to get confused. One is by the ex-boyfriend, who while in a relationship says, look, she was taking illegal gratification, but does not have the sense as an officer of law to expose her, then does it later on. Second is the other affidavit of Mr. Hiranandani, who does not see that these gifts are in lieu of questions. Both of these are separate affidavits. We are conveniently mixing the two.
Do you believe she should be suspended from Parliament? I'm not talking about criminality. Do you believe she should be suspended from Parliament?
The tyranny of the numbers, as Arun Jaitley ji had once famously said, is with the BJP, so she will be suspended. But I do believe the courts will step in out here.
Okay, I want to just, Sumanth, give me a second. Shubhrastha, if you're wondering why... Okay, one sentence. Okay, one sentence, Sumanth.
Has there been any evidence produced in public domain that this portal on which members, their PAs and personal secretaries and various others, thousands literally of people are accessing, has access to any information that is outside the public domain? To say that national security has been compromised, that is the first requirement. You need to say that, look, this portal gives you access to certain things which otherwise would not be available to the lay public. If all that this portal has is questions for you to post, then clearly the national security cannot be compromised. And to a point, almost every question which is asked in the Lok Sabha is RTI-able. So it can't be a national secret. I'm still confused. I'm not able to understand how national security.
But can I ask you, Sumanth, were you surprised with her admission there in that interview that almost all the questions I've ever posted has been using the secretarial staff of Hiranandani, who is a rival, though she says the content was my own, who is a rival to the man that she is raising questions about? Does it weaken her case? Does it weaken her case?
It certainly weakens her case, but it still does not point to criminality. She says he is a close friend whom she has known for many years, and she used his office as a secretarial staff. Now, MPs do that routinely. MPs have office staff I'm not sure how many MPs are actually physically typing in the questions onto the portal themselves. Many of them use secretarial staff.
So let me take that to Shubhrastha.
Just one line. They have LAMP and PRI also, right? So those are private agencies.
Okay. So, Shubhrastha, that's the point that Mahua Moitra makes, that PRS sends LAMP fellows routinely to parliamentarians. It's common practice for people to use. Meanwhile, there is a dog at the center of this debate, which trivializes the entire thing. And there's the ex or the jilted ex, as Mahua Moitra calls Jaya back home. I don't know what that custody battle is on about, but I just thought we should update you on that as well. I don't know. Let's keep it going. Shubhrastha, the question being asked here is, what has she done that others haven't done? And I was going to say that the way women have to juggle their jobs and their home lives, I know that when you turn to the left of your screen, you're actually tending to your young daughter who's just a few months old, and can you lift her up for us? I know she's sitting somewhere right there next to you and you're trying to make her not cry. There she is. Hello. What's her name? Tell everybody what her name is. Shubhrastha?
Well, Barkha, her name is Sharvi.
Hi, Sharvi. Yeah, go on. I just wanted to make that point, that there are multiple balls that women have to juggle as they manage their lives.
And I have a 7-month-old child, and I'm not doing it. That's tribute to women. I'm honestly telling
you. That's my point. And that's my point.
I'm not doing it.
And that's my point. I just wanted to make that point. Shubhrastha,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I think let me make one thing very clear. I don't want to get into the personal life of Mahua Moitra, who she dated, who is her ex, what's the custody battle for a dog. It's between two people. I don't want to get into that. But the trivialization of this entire conversation by saying that, well, secretarial help has been, can be taken by anyone and everyone. Let me just pose a counter question to Sumanth and Tehseen. What if Gautam Adani's office provides secretarial help to a concerned MP who is very comfortable in asking questions to a fellow competitor? Let's just flip the situation and see how the response is. It is a very... Look, please understand, Barkha, it's not a question of legality alone. It's a question of morality and integrity. As an MP, you are supposed to have a certain code of conduct, and it is not most of these rules won't be written. Some of these rules are unsaid rules. Just for the sake of propriety, you should not be having secretarial help from somebody who is a direct competitor of Gautam Adani and pose all those questions in the parliament.
I think you've raised a very interesting question. I think you've raised a very interesting question. What if this was a reversed situation, Tehseen? What if there was Nishikant Dubey, in this case the complainant, and it was found that Mr. Dubey said that he had used the secretarial staff of Gautam Adani to post questions about Mr. Hiranandani. Let's just reverse all of the characters in this. What would you and Sumanth be saying today? Tehseen, let's start with you. Tehseen? I can't hear you, Tehseen. Okay, Tehseen is, I think, jumped up. Let someone take that question first. Tehseen will come back. Sumanth?
Look, again, nobody is denying that. Should she have done this? No, she should not have. Just like if Nishikant Dubey did it and gave the login credentials to Adani, it would definitely not be appropriate. Having said that, if you want to expel somebody, it can't be on the basis of an ethical violation. If you're talking of, there are parliamentarians who are facing grave criminal charges, right? There are people there with attempt to murder and dacoity and allegations of rape sitting in parliament. And if somebody is going to be expelled because there was no rule which actually prohibit them expressly from sharing their login ID and password, and they did it, that would be a joke. Honestly, when you have people accused of serious crimes continuing to sit in parliament. Now, all I'm saying is, look, let her come. She has come clean. She has said, yes, I did share my ID password. She has asked, where are the rules which say where the ID password should not be shared? Now, the point is, you can lay down the rules from now. Say that, look, if you share it with X or Y or beyond the inner circle of the parliamentarian's office, then it's a violation, and lay down the rules now. But you can't create a rule and apply it with retrospective effect. That is my point.
I think that's a fair point also. And Jaya ji, there can be many opinions about the ethics of what has happened. But Sumanth and Tehseen, we just lost the connection to him. They keep asking, what's the criminality? Is this the gravest charge? Is this the worst MP in parliament? Is this the worst conduct that actually you're recommending expulsion? And just do go ahead with your thoughts.
I was just trying to remind everybody, this is the ethics panel. It's not a criminal panel. It's not a legal panel. They have done nothing that Sumanth is saying should be done. But it is an ethics panel. And everybody here agrees ethically it was not right. So let's just take that for a minute. I think the panel need not be criticized. Also, in any panel, in any government, in any inquiry, obviously the majority is going to be the side which has the most seats. You cannot expect it otherwise, because not even the media is so objective these days. Everybody has a view for one side or the other. And in politics, more so. But I would say that take Rahul Gandhi, the thing was going on in court also, the defamation part. So that was removed. He sorted it out in court. If the CBI now goes after Mahua and finds there's something wrong with proper evidence, then she has to face that. But otherwise, the panel has looked at the ethics, and I don't think her ethics was right. And as I said, she doesn't have a manner that brings people together and convinces them that
but
she's
isn't manner very subjective, and more women are deconstructed for manner than men?
Of course they are, but I'm just saying, I don't think she has had a long enough or a proven career in politics beyond speeches and Twitter that actually makes her a worthwhile parliamentarian whom everybody has to respect for her work. That's what I'm saying. In the meantime, she's been foolish and done some unethical things. It's time she learned to be better.
Okay, before I give a last round of comments, I'm just going to play out another short clip where she says that she's been a victim of misogyny because of the nature of questions that the Ethics Committee put to her. Take a look.
When he asked, how dear a friend is XYZ? How dear a friend is so-and-so? I said, dear is an English word. It used to mean close or whatever. He says, no, you say dear, just want to know, does his wife, and he mentions the wife's name, which is mentioned nowhere, either in a complaint or he just mentions the wife's name. And then he says, does she know about how dear he is to you? And I said, how is that relevant to anything? And at that point, the opposition MP said, where is this going? What are we talking about? Then he goes, do you talk? Who do you talk to late at night on your phone? How many times do you talk? And can you give us the call details in the next 24 hours? I said, how is that relevant? Who I talk to at night? Where have you traveled in the last 5 years? Which hotel are you staying in and with whom? These are questions. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, this is ridiculous. I may be a witness here. This is an ethics committee. You cannot proceed. And everybody said you can't do it. He then said, and Barkha, this is very important to note. He says, you can say yes or no. You have the freedom. I said, you do not have the right to call me a prostitute and expect me to answer yes or no. The question.
I mean, he didn't actually use that word.
I used that and put
as
it on
an
record.
example.
I said, you cannot. He says, you can say yes or no. So if he's asking me, how many times do you go to a hotel room with X or no, I can say no. But the question itself is remaining interrogatory. So I told him as an example. I said, you cannot ask me if I'm a prostitute and expect me to answer no and think that's okay. That's not what this panel is set up for. Do not do this.
So she said that as an example, Shubhrastha. You cannot ask me, are you a prostitute? And then say answer in yes or no. This is the argument she had with the chair of the Ethics Committee. The point she's making is the Ethics Committee itself is a bunch of misogynists, is the allegation she's making. Your response?
Just one message to Mahua Moitra. Welcome to politics. Not just Indian, anywhere. This is what she should have, she signed up for. Tomorrow, if I have to say, Barkha, tomorrow, if I were in a 9-to-5 job, which I'm not, if I were in a 9-to-5 job and I would have taken a maternity leave, and if I were to go back to work, to assume that the world will embrace me with open arms, I would be foolhardy to even think that. I know what I'm signing up for. She knows what, apparently she should have known what she signed up for. This is not to say that there is no misogyny in this country. This is not to say that politics is an ideal space to be in. What I'm just trying to say is, if you cannot handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. Nobody called you a prostitute. She herself says nobody called her a prostitute. Then what is this hullabaloo all about? Of course, the line of questioning may have been wrong, which is why I said at the very outset, let people come out with a line of questioning. I'm amazed why Aparajita Sarangi, who was there, the other MPs who were there, opposition or from the government side, why are they not coming clean and saying that this was the first question, this was the second question, this was the third question?
Because it's all documented. It will all be documented.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Sumanth, I think the point being made is, yes, of course, both Jaya, Jaitley and Shubhrastha agree that politics in public life is tougher for women than it is for men. I think there's no question that men's personal lives are not scrutinized. Men's morality is not scrutinized in the way women's is. But it doesn't take away from the core question. The core question here is, was she unethical?
Yeah. And Barkha, I think it's ironical that an ethics committee itself acts in an unethical manner by asking these questions. And that is a matter of concern.
Look, Sumanth, we don't really know if the questions were asked in that
manner. No, she says, one minute, Shubhrastha. Mahua is on record saying that she has the transcript, and I'm sure that, and she has actually said that she will release it. Should it be required, she will release it. Now, also, neither Mr. Sonkar nor Aparajita Sarangi have explicitly said these questions were not asked. And I watched at least several of the interviews. Neither of them, I don't think any of the others have given any interviews, but both Mr. Sonkar and Aparajita Sarangi have spoken to the media, and neither of them have accused her of lying and saying we didn't ask all these questions. Right? So until there is a categorical denial, we will have to accept it for now that those questions were asked. And if those questions were asked, it raises concerns. I mean, first of all, you don't call the complainant. You don't ask any questions to authenticate the veracity of the complaint. You call the accused and you ask most inappropriate and misogynistic questions to the accused. It doesn't speak very highly of a quote unquote ethical committee, does it? I mean, it's not an ethics committee anymore.
Yeah. Let me give the last word to Jaya Jaitley. Here's the point. People can have whatever subjective opinion. You can find her elitist. You can find her trivial. You can find her arrogant, whatever. Or you can find her feisty. You can find her committed. You can find her fearless. These are all subjective things. At core is the question, has she done something for which she should be expelled from parliament? That is my last question.
I would say if it's an ethical breach, not. But it depends on the details, which we have not got yet. So they should not have done it in such a rush. But as a last kind of a footnote, even women don't stand by women in politics. I went through a rough time, you know very well. You come out of the studio, the left party firebrands who were on the streets together some days ago would not stick up for me, and later on they'd come out and say, so sorry we couldn't stick by you, but we have to toe the party line.
Yeah, I think that's an important point that you make in the end about women not standing by women. Women are often creatures and sometimes victims of misogyny and sometimes perpetrators of it. Ms. Jaitley, if you were just trying to finish that point, go ahead and then we'll close. Yes.
No, so that's what I'm saying. Women don't stand by each other. Politics divides everybody on party lines. And I would say that I think the expulsion should be held back till we get all the details. And if there's something illegal, see. Otherwise, let the court see. Let the ethics committee tell the CBI, go and do your job and find out if she's legally done something wrong. Till then, I don't think all of us should give any ultimate judgment.
I think that's a very fair appraisal there. And despite the fact that you ideologically may be on the other side of the fence, Shubhrastha, were you wanting to say something?
Also, I think expulsion of an MP at this stage means nothing, Barkha. We are anyway going to go for polls in a couple of months. It really there's no point in expelling her. Let her be in the parliament, but I think a more nuanced approach to this entire thing should be taken without getting Henry and the other, ex involved. We should just ask the questions that are really relevant. Was it right for Hiranandani to have access to parliamentary records? It is parliamentary records also, Barkha. It's not just, that he could just go and pose questions or his, colleagues could just go and pose questions. To expose an ID to, an outsider, it's not just about ultra-nationalistic, national security argument is not what I'm trying to make. But there are bills which are not still in the public domain, which would, Hiranandani's office would be privy to that as well. So these are questions that be really wary of.
But I think the fair point is that there is as of now, no evidence placed in the public domain of a law being broken. And two, the meaninglessness of an expulsion 6 months, 5 months before general elections. And see, Jaya Jaitley's home truth, women often don't stand by women. Politics polarizes everybody, including an ethics panel that has also voted along party lines with, of course, Praneeth Kaur, suspended from the Congress, voting with the BJP. We'll leave it there. As they say, if nothing else, Henry will ensure that this story is not over. That is said just on a lighter note. The allegations here are grave. They should not be trivialized, and that's the real pity here. We've all yes, ma'am. Jaya ji, you were wanting to say something?
I want the last funny word, the footnote.
Okay.
Everyone loves dogs, but this is a new kind of dog fight.
Yes, lending itself to many puns, but many grave allegations as well in all the humor. Thank you, Shubhrastha, Sumanth, Jaya, Jaitley, and earlier to Tehseen and to our audience. Thank you for watching. If you haven't watched that full Mahua Moitra interview, please do. It's on our platform, ready to watch. I'm sure it'll interest you no matter which side of the debate you're on. See you soon. Take care.
Mojo's story has always made a commitment to its viewers to go to where the story is. And as you can see here, we are at the epicenter of the Israel war on Gaza. We are right at the front line, about 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, as the Israeli military gets ready with its tanks and its gunners to begin its final frontal assault that will take troops into Gaza. As we said, we are not like other organizations. We believe in giving you all sides of the story objectively and as much as possible from the ground. And that's exactly what we're doing here, covering the biggest global story today from the epicenter of the war zone. So please, we need your support. Support us, become a Mojo member, subscribe to us, spread the word, and thank you for your support.